D. Larissa Peters, and the title of the poem is Birthday. Dip down through the turbulent into that pocket that holds a stomach drop, settles, slides into seat belts off, stand up and stretch kind of flying. Abandon all thoughts, free to walk around, not grip white knuckle to the arms of all the persons next to you, walking with you, sleeping beside you. Here is the space, just as the 40s lift off. Every thought no longer hangs in the air. That seesaw feeling disappears, fades with one-night stands, textable regrets, late-night snacks, long walks home, talking shit. Not landing just yet, settling in for a long, smooth flight. Personally, for me, it's just something that I have to do, just to describe in a poem which is, I actually feel that is so hard to put into words. So my thoughts kind of flow into poetry rather than, journaling or something like that. But I've also just loved that moment when I'm reading a poem and I'm like, yes, that's exactly how I feel, but I could never put it into words. So I really want to create that for other people. Yeah, so Dusk is actually, back in October 2020, I went to the Joshua National Forest for the first time. It's in California, and it was just nothing like I'd ever seen before. Just the way that the Joshua trees are and just the desert scenery. It was just a very bizarre and beautiful experience. And then the second one, Endings, it's simply really about that moment of weakness. Once you break up with someone and then you're in that spot of just feeling lonely and you're like, maybe I should reach out to that person. So, and then just the last one, Birthday, it's like, I turned 40 in 2020. So it's kind of talking about finding my stride in my 40s, just like letting go of all of the overthinking and just a smooth flight, basically. So, yeah. I'm not sure if this really answers your question, but for myself, I'm very susceptible to stream of consciousness, and that's something I have to be careful of. So that's what I would tell people, edit out all of that. Like, the way that I see it is like, poetry isn't really about getting stuff off of your chest and like throwing it out to the world. It's really about, examining that stuff that you want to get off your chest and examining it with honesty and letting the world process it with you. So yeah, it varies. Like for that poem Endings, like really that just like came out. It was just like all on the paper. And then Birthday, that was something I was like, I want to write about this specific topic. So it's just this intentional of like writing down phrases and just a first draft, like really just getting anything on the page and then polishing after that. Yeah, so my first draft is writing, just writing with a pen and paper like that. It feels very tactile and kind of, I feel like that's necessary for my thought process. And then the second draft will go on a computer into like my poems that need to be fixed. And then the third draft will be, continuing on the computer kind of thing. So, yeah. Sometimes a phrase will be running around in my head and just and I'll just be percolating on that for a while. But then, yes, if I find, I love that line, I'm going to write that down immediately. And sometimes that will just go right in my phone because I won't have a pen and paper, with me at the time. Yeah, I've been thinking about this, and people say, when you read a poem, don't just like follow the format, don't pause right at the end of the line. There's a purpose for that word being at the end and then continuing on. But it helps to read it out loud, I think, and read it slowly, kind of, like you're chewing the words. And I also think like no one's going to connect with every poem. You go to an art gallery and there's some paintings that you don't connect with, you don't like, you don't even understand. And then there's others that just really like get you, I think it's just, reading it slow, and I think most authors will say that you can add your own interpretation into it. You know, you don't always have to understand like where that specific poet is coming from, you know. Yeah, this was actually the easiest question. Mary Oliver is a favorite of mine. Here in the U.S., probably a well-known poem of hers is When Death Comes. But one of my favorite poems of hers it's called Mysteries, Yes. And she's just someone that really shows me that I don't have to be going through a lot of angst to write a beautiful poem. Like, she writes about nature quite a bit, and she's just so good at pinpointing a detail and describing it in a way that is incredibly unique and exact. And yeah, if anyone compared me to Mary Oliver, I'd be like, honored, you know? Yeah, I'll give a shout out to SAMJOKO.